Okay.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So today I would like to talk about the nodes that are moving into Leo and Aquarius on May 10th for the true node, and on April 28th for the mean node. This is very interesting. There's a lot that goes on with astrologers as far as using the true node and the mean node. So I just want to kind of clarify that at the moment. So the true node is astronomically, the astronomers use it. And when they calculate it, it kind of shifts a little bit. It moves around. And so a lot of them have come up with the mean node. And what the mean node does is it's like a simpler view of it. So the moon orbits the center of the earth, and the effect is to smooth the kind of wobble out of that with the mean node. So there are some astrologers that use the mean node and some use the true node. There's not a lot of difference between the two, but there's a few degrees in there. So again, the mean node switches signs on April 28th, and the true node switches signs on May 10th. So is there any questions about that? I'd like for you to answer if you would like, or to ask questions or to comment.
Cathy, does the mean node take us to November the 6th? Or a bit late or a bit earlier?
Pardon me, what was that?
Yes, you've got here the mean nodes on April 28th. And do they go to November the 6th or a little bit earlier?
A little bit earlier.
Uh-huh. Okay, thanks, Cathy.
Uh-huh. There's like a 2.5 week, basically difference in the nodes like that.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. When the lunar nodes change signs, there's a shift in the focus on the whole global level. Besides, within us individually, you can feel the energy when the nodes shift like this. I remember feeling the Virgo part when the node shifted last time. The getting down to detail part of it, and then the Piscean end of it, very otherworldly, and a lot of like fogginess. So when the nodes do change, whatever node that you're using and that you work with, you will notice that change. And it's a shift in our focus and our evolution and our destiny and where we're headed as a collective, and where we're headed humanity-wise, and also where we're headed for our own growth and our own evolution. Part of the shifting is to help us at this time in the shift, to help us release a lot of the things that we need to release. And we've been hearing this about purging and releasing, etc. And so when the nodes switch into Aquarius and Pisces, the energies and the what I like to call residue on our soul and what residue on the collective will be given a different shake-up. So when the South Node moves into Aquarius, there's going to be excuse me. The South Node moves into Aquarius. That's going to represent like let's say it's going to help shake up things, like I said, so that we can release them in the humanity and the collective. When you think about it, when you think about the ruler of that South Node being Uranus, there's a lot happening now shaking us up with Uranus itself in the cardinal square. So the node shifting right now is emphasizing even more the releasing of our past and the releasing of the residue on our souls and on the soul of the collective and humanity as a whole. Past life-wise, an Aquarian South Node really represents literal trauma in past lives of some sort. Trauma could have been many, many different things, as we know, from torture to trauma from groups, trauma of the times, trauma inflicted, you know, for your own beliefs, etc. So a lot of the trauma represented with Aquarius in past lives will be kind of activated in us, not the literal trauma, but that residue that's left on our soul from times in past lives where we had trauma associated with our living conditions, etc. at that time. Again, we're supposed to be releasing this stuff, and it's really hard to release and to purge when you don't know exactly what that residue is. So during this time with the node shifting into Aquarius Leo, that Aquarian South Node, some of that stuff will be brought up, again, not literally, but brought up to your consciousness enough that you will be able to release all of that past trauma associated with your own soul growth, and then also the soul growth of the collective and humanity. For example, we could use like the South Node in Aquarius as in the past you were a leader, say, or like a leader in a revolution, someone who is a rebel, someone who is exiled by force or close to exiling themselves. The feeling of me, us against the world, being alone in a crowd, all of that radical revolution, rebel kind of energy will also be brought up in us so that we can release that. And as you know, we look out and observe humanity right now, we're in that state of that revolution. There's a lot of revolution, there's a lot of division, there's a lot of chaos, of course, coming in with Miss Eris that I talked about last time. So a lot of this is being brought up now so we can start purging this, start letting it go. It's like, how many times are we going to go through this with the collective and with humanity? The revolutions and the wars and the rebels and the trauma that's associated with all of this, without releasing some of that and moving forward. Right now, of course, like I said, many of us worldwide and in the United States are going through this. Of course, here in the United States, we've been going through a lot of presidential types of revolutions and marches, and most of them being peace marches, peaceful marches, I mean. A lot of chaos and upset. A lot of this has to do with the cardinal square, this shift that we've been going through since 2010. The cardinal square, T-square, Grand Cross, etc. But one of the main players in that is Uranus, and Uranus is the ruler of the South Node when the nodes move into Leo Aquarius. So there's quite a connection there between the two. I think for me, it seems like the movement into Leo Aquarius of the nodes is an emphasis on what the cardinal square has been saying and doing. And as far as Uranus and the cardinal square, we only have about a year left of that energy to push us to release and to push us to create new ways of doing it and looking at it. Of course, Eris will be there, so there'll still be a cardinal square, but Uranus will move on. I think it's a real emphasis from the universe that the nodes are moving into Aquarius and Leo at this time during the shift when the cardinal square will start to pull apart. So it is a help, quote unquote, I think, of helping us move out of that old pattern. You know, it's a time for radical transformation. within our world. Detaching is part of that. That's part of Aquarius also, Uranus. Learning to detach from the obvious and not getting pulled into the fear and not getting pulled into the control and the radicalism, etc., which is part of that North Node where we're headed, is to not be in that fear, but to be in the happiness, to be in the heart. The ability to detach, which is Uranus and Aquarius, is something that we can use to calm the energy down within the world, and also within the things going on in our own life. Remember, our soul never forgets. So all the residue from past lives that in situations, such as we're in now with the world, etc., but also past life-wise, what all that has meant for us individually and also the whole collective. So the soul never forgets. So that's part of what we're releasing. And we're not just releasing on our own, we're releasing in the collective realm. We're releasing all humanity, lifetime after lifetime. This also holds true for some of the geniuses that come about with Aquarius and Uranus. Now, Uranus ruling Aquarius, ruling genius, ruling the people that can think outside the box, people that come up with scientific ways of changing the world, or hopefully changing the world and humanity, etc. A lot of the geniuses have been traumatized. We have a lot of people that have invented ways to cure cancer that have been suddenly taken out of the public eye. Their work has been destroyed, and they've been destroyed. Rife is one of them. And some of them, and that's health-wise, and some other geniuses that have come up with ways to do things like free energy, etc., have been shut down. They've been shut down. They've been traumatized. They've had their work destroyed. This is all past. This is all part of that Aquarian South Node. This is all stuff that we are now able to release. We're heading to that Leo North Node. And so that's a lot. There's a lot of residue on our own individual souls in our own individual lifetimes, of course, under the soul of the whole collective. So also, this could bring in things from World War II and the Civil War, etc., that are all on our souls. Those are all on the gray side, of course, and that's how we look at the South Node, is the gray side, because it's stuff that was never really taken care of, or that we haven't had the ability to release, whether it was our own doing or the doing of just the times. But the universe is asking us to move away from these things that are no longer vibrating where we're currently vibrating, to let them go and to move forward. And of course, it isn't easy. Soul work, deep soul work, transformative work, releasing of old patterns and residue isn't easy. If it's easy, you're really not doing the work. So we have to do this work to move forward. I'm going to say a little bit of something about the North Node. Now, what I was saying about the Aquarian South Node are things that I've been thinking of, etc. And I imagine that you guys have some ideas to add to that. Since we're just entering the switch of these nodes, we don't know exactly how it's going to come out and exactly what will happen. I have some history here that I'll share in a minute, but I want to talk a minute about the North Node. And so the North Node is our soul's intent, of course, and we know that, it's an area we're working towards, and we want to get there as fast as we can, basically. The North Node, it's like as it moves into Leo, it's like it wants to almost roar. It wants to be heard. The North Node is up there smiling with all of this life force energy. And it wants to be heard. It wants to question authority. It wants to set some new skills out there to handle humanity, etc. The skills and how we move forward into that North Node, into the North Node, it needs to be maybe a little more theatrical, a little more fun, not so much like the mental past, but more in the heart fun. Find ways to be more appealing and convincing and show confidence. These are all areas that we're moving into, including, individually, collectively, humanity-wise, etc. There's a lot towards the forgiving and unconditional love. In order to release, a lot of times we have to forgive. If it's just forgiving for ourselves, that releases it out of our soul energy so that we can move forward. Leo represents the big heart, coming from the heart, thinking from the heart. This is all very much Leo. This is also very much the energy of the shift that we're in too. That movement towards coming from the heart and being in the heart, thinking with the heart. Before, thinking with the heart. It's like it would be new for a lot of people, but it's where we are going in this shift. It's where we are moving towards. People need to move out of like isolation. A lot of people have been in this fear and this isolation. I'm not watching news. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to that meeting. This kind of thing. Moving out of that isolation and start letting yourself be heard on a high level, like a more fun level. The smiling when you say it. The kind of Leo kind of energy. Out there. This is where we need to move towards. We move out of that South Node towards that North Node. I think the universe is asking us to start thinking with our hearts, coming from our hearts, dealing with all humanity, but also between countries, in the government, in the corporate world, international. All these areas are going to receive the same energy that we are receiving now. They're all going to receive, and the nodes move into Leo Aquarius, that Leo energy that we're moving towards, and that feeling of wanting to release the old, wanting to release the fear, wanting to release that control over us and move into the heart energy and the Leo fun energy and that kind of confident energy. It's time to have fun. It's time to smile. It's time to honor the child within us. It's time to honor that innocence of ourselves. It's real important to leave that fear and judgment, etc., of the traumas of the dark side of Aquarius and Uranus, and move forward into that Leo. Our heart's desire, love, play, all of this kind of thing is where we are headed. We need to break away from the old heart patterns that are not working for us anymore and move into the newer patterns of love and fun. There's kind of a wanting to make everybody happy, an eagerness to do that for ourselves and for the world. So our leaders need to start embodying these traits. They need to think with their hearts and come from their hearts for everyone, all humanity. They need to start ruling in this way. Kings, queens, presidents, rulers of all kinds, heads of companies, CEOs, leaders, etc. This ruling from control and fear and revolutions and all this kind of thing needs to move. And this energy will be very prominent for this to happen, in my opinion, when the nodes move. Historically wise, excuse me, I'll get that. Historically wise, you know, when the nodes, excuse me, have moved into Leo Aquarius, I went back and to the years of November of 1942 to May of 1944. So there was an Aquarian ideal then. Together we can change the world. You know, we come back to that in 2017 and 2018 on another South Node in Aquarius cycle. In 1942, the American Federation of Musicians started a strike against the major American recording companies because of disagreements over royalty payments. The 1942 to 1944 musicians' strike remains the longest strike in Hollywood history. I'm doing a couple examples here. Of course, there's a whole lot of things that happened during these time periods. I'm doing these examples with music right now, just to give you an idea of what has happened in the past. In 1943, when the South Node was in Aquarius, the Americans, British, and Canadians together led the Allied invasion of Italy. I wanted to throw that part in there. So a musical emphasis here. So when I went back to when the nodes were in Aquarius and Leo before, in June of 1961 to December 23rd of 1962, the Beatles respond strongly to the South Node in Aquarius cycles. Their first recording session at Abbey Road Studios, when they put down Love Me Do, one of their real famous songs in the early days, happened with the South Node in Aquarius in 1962. Whenever we see this cycle return, popular culture is more than usually preoccupied with bands. The bands become bigger symbols for the Aquarian message, which is about equality, sisterhood, and brotherhood within a wider group. Aquarius is also about people power, which is coming back. The nodes also went into Aquarius and Leo January 6th of 1980 to September 24th of 1981. John Lennon, his life on Earth was tragically taken on another South Node in Aquarius cycle in 1980. South Node in Aquarius cycle in 1980 also brought in the trade union membership in the United Kingdom, hit an all-time high of 12.2 million. And in 1980, Moscow Summer Olympics, also on a South Node cycle, President Jimmy Carter announced a U.S. boycott of the Russian Games. In April 10th of 2000, October 13th of 2001, in 2000, the Beatles released Anthology as the old 1962 cycle returned. Part of the purpose of Anthology was to celebrate the life of John Lennon. When the Friends, the TV show Friends, cast all used their people power in the year 2000 to push for higher pay, they were sending a very strong Aquarian message. We tend to see stories merge in this cycle that advertise the meaning of the sign, which is about the community making change to benefit the community. So these are some of the historical things that have happened during the shifting of the nodes into Aquarius and Leo. does anybody have any questions or anything to add? Okay. I kind of mentioned this a little earlier. As I was doing some of my my work, I was noticing that the shift that we began back in 2010, again, it's being emphasized by this movement of the new nodes into Aquarius and in Leo. I do think that a lot of the baggage from the past needs to be let go of, and we need to play. We need to think with our hearts, and we need to move forward. I think during this time also that there could be more interest in the news, about medical news, like heart health news, workers' rights, music, etc. More companies will be looking at extra benefits for childcare, family time, more time off, social interests and play. This is all Leo kind of energy. Another thing I think, like fashion-wise, etc., with that Leo North Node, that during this time period, a lot more fun kind of things as far as like hairstyles, nail salons, beauty treatments of all types, things to make you look younger. This type of stuff also I think will become very active areas. I think there'll be a lot more sparkle and silvers and golds, etc. Beautiful colors and hues in fashions. I think there'll be a lot of emphasis again on heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, that whole area. Leo loves the arts, both creating the arts and also viewing the arts. And this is emphasized even more by Neptune transiting Pisces right now, because whenever Neptune is in its own sign, historically, there's always been a spiritual renaissance and an artistic renaissance. So we're in a Pisces Neptunian renaissance anyway, and then with the North Node going into Leo, it's going to emphasize even more the arts and creating and music, which was one reason that I kind of concentrated some on the music historically wise, because it very much, I think we'll learn a lot over this time with Leo and Aquarius, the nodes moving in, through music and through theater and through the arts. Of this time period and the feelings, etc., that are ignited.
Cathy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You got me thinking here when you asked us for questions, but I wasn't quite ready last time. With the note you have here on the Leo, Aquarius nodes and Regulus, and I do believe the eclipse in August is going to be right on that spot. So I was wondering, is that prominent when they change signs, when the nodes do that? There's an eclipse always at the beginning like that? Is it so close? Well, it's happening in May, you said. That's right. And then, yeah, so it doesn't happen right away, but it happens a couple months later that we have the full blown across the United States. So I'm just curious your thoughts on the eclipse coming up on this Regulus thought.
Okay. Yes. That eclipse in August 21st, is a very, very powerful eclipse for many different reasons. And one of them is the fact that it will be happening on Regulus. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is the lion's heart. So it's like, if we haven't quite got the energy of the node shifting by then, we'll really get it by the time that we have this eclipse. It's to help humanity's evolution. That's what Regulus does, and becoming more heart-centered. It's very important, actually. This eclipse also happens on my descendant in my own chart. It happens on President Trump's of the United States. It happens on his ascendant. And it also opposes the moon of the United States. So this is quite an active eclipse that we will be having in August. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, not everything happens right on that date, but it, will be happening. Things will be happening over the course of a few weeks or a month there. But it will be very interesting how it affects the presidency in the United States. But also the huge emphasis with Regulus, just like the universe is trying to pound into us, we have to start coming from the heart if we're going to make it, as a race.
Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to mention too, while we're talking about the ancient star systems here with Regulus, ever since we entered this shift, about the spring of 2010, basically, the cardinal square is the main emphasis. And of course, there's been a cardinal square, T-square, Grand Cross off and on over the last 7 years, and it's continuing. It's in a T-square now with Jupiter. What's amazing with this is that every time there's been an eclipse or a full moon or a new moon or some major thing, Venus transiting the sun back when that happened, etc., there's always been ancient star systems activated. Many of them, Arcturus, Vega, I can't think of all of them now, Orion, etc. The Pleiades, they've all been activated, and I find this very, very interesting because historically in our own soul, all the lifetimes that we have been around, we've had opportunities to work with these ancient star systems, whether it was telepathically, which I think most of it was, or there was actual physical encounters. Very, very important, I think, that this shift is activating these ancient star systems because it's also activating our DNA. If we were part of the Mayans that created the 125,000-year stone calendar and they never missed an astrological event, that will be activated in our DNA as this shift, and this powerful cardinal square, T-square, Grand Cross activates these ancient star systems. So I think it's extremely important that with the node shifting, that it does activate Regulus, and it will still be activating that at the time of the big eclipse in August. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, and it's complex.
Yeah, it is. If that might be another talk, but I've been watching that for quite a while, so I think it's very important.
Cathy?
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that Regulus is now at 0 degrees Virgo. Could you comment on the node, the North Node, conjuncting Regulus at that degree?
At 0 degree Virgo?
Yes.
Oh, right now.
Well, very soon.
Yeah, and then it will move into the Leo Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Regulus, with Virgo hitting that the node there, I do believe that there's been a huge emphasis, and still is, going right up to the moment that it switches, of the details of a lot of this, the knowledge. I think there's a lot of knowledge in all of us that we have been too afraid to let out. There's still a lot of that fear, I think, from the past lives, which the South Node in Uranus will help release. That that we've been afraid to let some of this knowledge out. We've been afraid to talk about it, etc. Even at a soul level, I think some of it hasn't even been activated. I believe it will be when the nodes switch. One of the gray sides of Virgo is thinking that you don't know enough, and you know, that you need to take another class or something, or you don't want to release it because it's not perfect. There's just kind of fear of not releasing the knowledge that we have and not presenting it. And as the nodes shift from that Virgo, so the Virgo to the Aquarius South node in Leo, North node, the South node will break open and give us opportunities to speak, even though it may not be easy. That knowledge that we have had deep in our soul, it gets triggered, and the Leo North node will give us the confidence and give us the ways to present it in a very high, heartfelt type of explanation or whatever it is that you're presenting that comes up from the past. I think actually they're working very well together. I think a lot of people have been learning a lot during this time period, and what do I want to say, bringing into detail more of their craft or their knowledge or what it is that they want to present. But it's still, they're still not ready to release it and to get it out there in the public and to shine with it. And as the nodes move into Leo Aquarius, I think that opportunities to be able to do that will happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. So I had mentioned that in my own chart, my ascendant is 29 degrees Aquarius, and my descendant is 29 degrees Leo. And when we were talking about that eclipse. So I'm very interested to find out how the node switching signs and landing on my descendant and ascendant is going to help shift myself, and by kind of studying myself there as this happens and over the next several months, etc., be able to talk about this even a little more. Is the node switching signs hitting anybody else's chart in any way?
Yep.
I'll have that on my Jupiter, and right now I have like the North node on my IC.
Okay. The North node in Virgo, and then it will switch.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about the IC too is that's like a little doorway into the past. So yeah. So
it is totally.
Huh?
I'm agreeing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, and so then the North node will be in Leo when it goes in there. I think it's real powerful when they first switch like that, and I think you'll be able to release some stuff quickly from the past so that you can present it in a higher, heartfelt way in the future. Now that's going into your house of home, family, and clan, etc. The clan part of the fourth house is very important nowadays because our families, are all over. They're all over the world in different states and everything. And so our clan becomes very important, and they almost become like a group, an Aquarian kind of group. And so I think in that arena is where a lot is going to shift for you, as far as when it moves into the Leo Aquarius, it's going to be in that house. So moving the group part that we're trying to release of Aquarius, and of course there's a very high side to Aquarius, of forming groups that really resonate and are good, and then also heading to that that Leo North Node, that energy of putting that energy from the heart energy and the fun energy and, you know, the child within, and let's play and let's you know, love. Let's turn this world into really good energy. That's all very powerful for you there.
Yeah, it'll be triggering my 6th grand cross too, like everything seems to on my Jupiter.
Wow.
So
okay.
that's always,
yeah. Then Jupiter itself brings in the joy and optimism. That sounds like it's going to be really positive.
yeah, from your lips to God's ears, I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you know, I mean, head that way, you know. Of course, you know, when we're releasing the South Node stuff, which we'll have to do that part too, as it comes up and triggers things in our DNA, etc. You know, the releasing part isn't always, you know, fun, because obviously something has to come up to trigger something that was left undone in the past. But we're in a different place now, so it would be a lot easier to release. Like some of the trauma from the past, you know, could have been being burned at the stake or something. Well, we're not going to be burned now, but we still have to release the residue. So keeping our eye on that North Node, you know, the coming from the heart, the fun, the play, the presenting ourselves with confidence and presenting that higher end of Leo, I think is going to help a lot in releasing a lot of the traumas, both collectively and both within our own evolution of our own soul.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Cathy, you wanted to mention something about Archangel Raphael?
Yes, Archangel Raphael. Regulus is the closest star to the ecliptic, and therefore the closest to what they call the red carpet path of the sun. You know, so it's so close to the sun, and you get that red-orange from the sun. That color and that energy is a symbol of Archangel Raphael, who is the archangel of healing and health. And so, again, the health part and the healing that I think will become very prominent during this time of the shift will be like with the heart, new discoveries with the heart, etc., which the heart itself, of course, comes in with, you know, the blood pressure and the arteries. I mean, there could be a whole lot of new ways of handling health, heart health. Also bringing in the Alzheimer's and the dementia, which is kind of a new area that they're still trying to discover, and they're working on a lot, trying to come up with ways of conquering that, which also would fall in with the symbol of Archangel Raphael, of the healer. So I think those are our areas that Archangel Raphael will be helping more in kind of, I kind of see him just over, you know, like, okay, we've got to concentrate on Alzheimer's, we've got to concentrate on this. Kind of taking a stand there in areas that need to release the old and really move forward in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Cathy. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Can you speak generally on those of us who are making the nodal square with these nodes moving into Leo and Aquarius?
The nodal square with what?
If someone with the nodes moving into Leo and Aquarius, those that have the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio are going to be receiving the square. And I was just wanting to know your thoughts, your general thoughts on that.
I think, you know, with the nodes moving in squaring the Taurus Scorpio, the squares, you know, the friction and the stress of the squares is going to bring up the Scorpio Taurus energy, the opposition there. With Taurus, you know, being in the Earth, and Scorpio being actually Earth spirituality, I like to call the honoring of the Earth, that end of Scorpio, and Taurus very much about the grounded Earth. And the fact that Uranus will be moving into Taurus in 2018, I think it's going to help prepare us and help when Uranus moves into Taurus itself. And I think at that time there's going to be more emphasis on the Earth, taking care of the Earth, and honoring the water, etc., all of the Earth stuff. When Uranus moves into Taurus. And I think if the Earth itself is a little upset with humanity not taking care of it, during that time period, I think the Earth might rebel a little bit. So I won't be surprised if there's more earthquakes and volcanoes and different things that's going to make humanity focus back on the Earth and taking care of it and honoring it. So the square with Scorpio, which is Earth spirituality, natural shamanism, etc., on the high spiritual evolution side of it, and Taurus itself being about the beauty of the Earth, squaring the Leo or Uranus nodes there is a help, quote unquote, helping as Uranus moves into Taurus, all of that energy with that focus on the Earth. That's kind of my feelings on it at this point. Do you have any feelings on it?
Yeah, I thought about that as well. I'm also thinking as far as the authority figures, especially, you know, seeing the situation here in the U.S. So I'm looking at that as well, and the square definitely creating a lot of tension.
Yes.
For those of us who have those nodes in Taurus Scorpio, there's a lot of the fears, I think, are being drummed up, you know, because of that.
Yes, I agree with you totally. The fears with the Taurus Scorpio node squaring, you know, that will be squaring Uranus and Leo nodes, especially with Uranus, some of the trauma, the past life things with that, that will also be brought up at that time. Having to do a lot with what's going on in the United States, the fear, the revolution kind of that is happening, and the fear around so many different areas, including the Earth. You know, it's a very divided place up here right now. For those of us that love the Earth like I do, and then having, you know, a lot of these things taken away from the Earth, as far as protecting it, is very, very disturbing. I am hoping that the switch from Leo to Aquarius, that a lot of those fears and that control and that et cetera, the dark side of Aquarius is brought up. And when it's brought up, it's being brought up right now even, and when it's brought up even more, it would be kind of scary. But I think it needs to be brought up because everybody has to see it before they can take care of it. And we really need the combination of the square of the nodes of Scorpio and Taurus, because even though it's a square, squares are growth aspects. And we need to grow out of this, and we need to grow into the high ends, and the high end of Leo with this nodal switch, etc. The right leaders that come from the heart and think from the heart and want to make the place, the earth, a better place to live, etc. We have to release that old to get to that. And that's, I think, is part of the square with the nodes. I think it'll be a little scary for a while, but if we know this, so the good part of it is that we know what the outcome can be, and we keep manifesting and intending and staying out of the fear, knowing that it has to be put in our faces for everyone to see before we can heal it, which is part of Scorpio, is the healing part too, and the earth spirituality and the healing and the honoring of everything the earth gives us to use for healing. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Cathy, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Could you please comment on the nodes moving from feminine signs to masculine? Because Leo will be ruled by the sun, and Aquarius will be ruled by Uranus in Aries, and they're all masculine yang expressions. Could you please comment on that?
Yeah. Of course, the feminine is rising. We need a balance of the feminine and the male. And when I think of Leo, and it is a more male sign, but it has a lot of attributes on the feminine side as far as laughter and play and the child within and creativity, etc. is all Leo, which to me, kind of dips a few toes into the feminine side somewhat. Coming from the heart, again, about love, a little bit on the feminine side. And even though it is a masculine sign, I believe kind of what the universe is trying to have our thoughts and focus on is that it's the leader, which is usually, thought of as male, honor his feminine side in a way, honor the heart, honor children, honor fun, honor play, honor creativity. So it's like a shift in that ruling, I am, you do what I say kind of male energy into this higher realm of male energy. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you, Cathy. Any other questions from anybody or comments?
Yes, hello. I'm curious, I'm born with a conjunction of Sun-Uranus, and I'm curious about this, the node moving into Leo Aquarius.
Okay, I didn't quite hear all that.
I am born with a conjunction of Sun-Uranus.
Of Sun-Uranus?
Conjunction, yes.
Okay.
So I'm curious about those nodes moving into like Aquarius and Leo.
Well, when the South Node gets to your Sun, Uranus conjunction, I don't know what degree that's at, it will definitely trigger some releasing of some old thoughts, old patterns, brought up through all of your past lives that it's time to release. Now, things will be brought up for all of us, but especially you when the South Node transits your Uranus Sun conjunction. For all of us, things are going to be brought up that we're going to have to release, but it's being brought up. The universe knows the exact timing and all this stuff. The universe, God, Goddess, whatever your version is, as to what it is that you're releasing, you're going to know it, and it's going to be time to release it. So at your core energy, your Sun, when the nodes actually transit that, and the Aquarian South Node transits it, there'll be some stuff brought up that you need to release, and just know that, okay, it's time to release that, and then move it, switch it to that higher end of Leo.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, Cathy, it looks like there aren't any more questions. So should we wind down now, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was incredible. Some great advice and great information. Thanks so much. And
You're welcome.
I'll unmute everybody to say thanks.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time, Cathy. Thanks again.
Okay, thanks.